What is up, guys? EJ here, back with another video, and today it's going to be my DVD collection for 2012 and part 3 of the horror section. So let's get started. So last time we finished with the O's. So starting off with the P's, we have P2 from 2007 with Rachel Nichols and Wes Bentley. Pretty good little movie. Next we have the Paranormal Activity films. The first one from 2009, my favorite of the bunch, including the fourth one, which I saw earlier this year. Paranormal Activity 2 on Blu-ray. Sort of takes place at the same time as Paranormal Activity, the first one, because the film ends sort of in the same place where the first one ends, if you know what I'm talking about. Paranormal Activity 3, also on Blu-ray, sort of goes back to the beginning when Katie Featherston, whatever her name is, are kids. I did not like the ending of this film. I thought it was pretty ridiculous, and sort of felt the same way about Paranormal Activity 4. Okay, moving on, we have Phantom of the Opera, the 1943 version, watched in October. Good version of the classic. Next we have Piranha from 1978, Roger Corman's cult classics, early film by Joe Dante. Next we have the 2010 remake, Piranha 3D, directed by Alexandra Aya. I really enjoyed this. Loads of cheesy fun, lots of great nudity. Was not a fan of Piranha Double D. Next we have The Pit and the Pendulum, classic Vincent Price from 1961. Next we have Poltergeist, one of my favorite horror films of the 80s from 1982. Just love this movie. Next we have Priest from last year, 2011. Not a great film, but it has some cool effects, and Paul Bettany, always good in these sort of roles. Next we have Psycho, of course, Alfred Hitchcock's classic from 1960. If you haven't seen Hitchcock yet, I highly recommend it. One of the best films of the year. A great companion to this classic, of course. Really enjoyed Hitchcock, it was great. Okay, next we have Quarantine from 2008 with, what's her name, Jennifer Carpenter. Yeah, enjoyed this remake of Wreck. Speaking of which, Wreck from 2007 Spanish horror film, which I watched in October. And a few weeks later, I also managed to get a good copy of Wreck 2 and watched that as well from 2009. Okay, next we have the Resident Evil films. Really enjoyed the first one from 2002. Mila Jovovich is great. And yeah, I enjoy the Resident Evil films. They're not great, but the first one's a cool movie. Okay, Resident Evil Apocalypse, probably my least favorite of the sequels, to be honest. Resident Evil Extinction, pretty good, one of the better sequels. And Resident Evil Afterlife on 3D, again, not one of my favorite of the sequels. I did really like the fifth one, and I'm forgetting the Retribution, that's it. I really enjoyed Retribution. Okay, next we have The Return of the Living Dead from 1985. I'll put a link in the description to my full review of this film that I did for the Movie Reviewers 100. Classic fun zombie film from the 80s, and I don't want to mess up the one particular cover when I put it back in. Next we have The Ring movies. The first one, awesome film, one of the scariest movies of the 2000s. Love Naomi Watts in this, and just a very creepy movie. From 2002. Next we have The Ring 2 from 2006. Not nearly as good. And yeah, that's about all I'll say about that. The Ring also came with this sort of little documentary, Rings, The Circle of Fear is Growing. It's like a little short film or whatever. Okay, next we have The Ruins from 2008, really good movie. Great setting, good young cast. Really enjoyed The Ruins. Okay, next we have the Saw films. Saw from 2004, my favorite of the franchise by a long shot. Saw 2 from 2005, probably the best of the sequels. Saw 3 from 2006, and beyond this point, my recollection of the Saw films is all pretty blurry and mixed together. I got sick and tired of them after this. Saw 4 from 2007, Saw 5, 2008, Saw 6, 2009, and finally we have Saw 7 or Saw 3D or Saw the Final Chapter, whatever you want to call it, on 3D Blu-ray. Probably the worst of the bunch. Moving on, we have Scanners, a great film from 1981. Yeah, by David Cronenberg, just a classic. Next we have the Scream trilogy, the box set, the original box set. I love the first Scream, of course, from 1996. Scream 2, great sequel from 97. Scream 3, probably the weakest of the 4 from 2000s. And speaking of Scream 4, really enjoyed this film. I thought it was loads of fun, sort of reminiscent of Scream 2. I thought great cast. I loved that Alison Brie was in it. I thought Hayden Panettiere was really good. Nev Campbell, of course, and David Arquette and Courtney Cox, and the young Emma Roberts was good too. Okay, next we have Wes Craven's The Serpent and the Rainbow from 1988, great film about voodoo. Again, I watched this in October. A lot of these movies I watched in October. Session 9 from 2001 with David Caruso. Good cast, Peter Mullen, Josh Lucas. Yeah, I enjoyed this film too. Also watched this in October. About a cleaning crew cleaning up an old mental hospital. Next we have Shadow of the Vampire from 2000, great film with John Malkovich and Willem Dafoe about the making of Nosferatu. Much like Hitchcock, this is a great companion piece to Nosferatu, obviously. Next we have Shaun of the Dead, classic of course, from 2004 with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. A lot of people's favorite zombie comedies. Next we have The Shining, my all-time favorite horror film, of course, Stanley Kubrick's classic from 1980 with Jack Nicholson. Yeah, just love The Shining. Next we have Silent Hill from 2006. I rewatched this again this year before I saw the sequel. And I'm blanking on that sequel's subtitle now. But it wasn't too bad. Not nearly as good as this one. Silent Hill is a really good film. Next we have Silver Bullet from 1985, of course based on the Stephen King novel. Corey Haim and Gary Busey, awesome. I actually really enjoyed this film. One of my favorite werewolf films. Watched that in October. Next we have Sleepy Hollow, one of my favorite Tim Burton films from 1999 with Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci. Love the Sleepy Hollow legend. Okay, next we have Slither, a really fun film from 2006 with, what's her name? I'm looking at her right now and I'm blanking on it. Oh, shit. I'm going to be pissed if I forget her name. Elizabeth Banks, there you go. And Nathan Fillion. He's the guy who plays her husband. He's in The Walking Dead, of course. I'm messing up names for some reason today. Okay, next we have my Snakes on a Plane DVD, which is kind of weird because it's not closed properly. Anyway, Snakes on a Plane from 2006 with Samuel L. Jackson. Not to be taken seriously, obviously, but it's loads of fun. I enjoy the heck out of it. Next we have Splice from 2010 on Blu-ray. Good sort of sci-fi horror thriller with Adrian Brody and Sarah Polley. It's got some really weird moments, man, I'll say that much. Okay, next we have Stigmata from 1999. The other sort of devil Satan movie of 1999 with Gabriel Byrne, Patricia Arquette as well, Jonathan Pryce. Not great, but yeah, it's okay. Another film from 1999, Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon. This is a really underrated film. Great movie, in fact. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. Next we have The Strangers from 2007 with Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman. My one and only Argento, Sally, and that's Suspiria, classic from 1977. Again, I watched this in October as well. Need to get some more Argento. That's been made clear to me by many people. Next we have the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974, one of my all-time favorite horror films by Tobe Hooper. One of my few steelbooks as well. And next we have the remake from 2003. Probably the first film I saw when I started working at the movie theater I worked at for almost 5 years. Really enjoyed this remake. I thought Jessica Biel was great. Arlie Ermey was awesome as well. Just a great remake. Next to Dawn of the Dead, that's my favorite horror remake of the past decade. Next we have Theater of Blood, a great film with Vincent Price and Diana Rigg from 1973. Much like the abominable Dr. Phoebes, but he's a Shakespearean actor. Okay, next we have Trick or Treat from 2009. Really good Halloween anthology. Great film to watch on Halloween these days. Next we have Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. From last year, 2011, on Blu-ray. Absolutely love this film. Completely hilarious. Loads of fun. The guy who plays Tucker, Tyler Labine, is just amazing in this. It's got heart and warmth, and it was just great. Absolutely loved it. Okay, next we have Turistas from 2006. Good film with, what's his name, Josh Duhamel and Melissa George, about college kids in Brazil. Get mixed up with the wrong kind of people, of course. Next we have the Underworld films. Underworld, my favorite of the bunch. Kate Beckinsale, awesome, of course, from 2003. Underworld Evolution from 2006. Really good sequel. And the weakest of the bunch, Underworld Rise of the Lycans, from either 2008 or 2009, I forget. And I really enjoyed Underworld Awakenings. I thought it was awesome. Definitely be picking that up on Blu-ray. Okay, next we have Urban Legend from 1998, one of those sort of Scream ripoffs. Good young cast, Rebecca Gayheart, Jared Leto, Alicia Witt, and so on, Joshua Jackson. Tara Reid. Next we have Vacancy, really good film with Luke Wilson and Kate Beckinsale from 2007. Next we have John Carpenter's Vampires from 1998 with James Woods, really good and underrated vampire movie. Next we have Van Helsing, definitely a guilty pleasure with Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale. The effects are terrible at times, but it's a lot of fun, and Kate Beckinsale, I'll watch in anything at this point. Next we have horror double feature of Village of the Damned and Children of the Damned. The original Village of the Damned from 1960 is the main reason I picked this up. I actually haven't seen Children of the Damned, but I love the original one. Next we have What Lies Beneath, with a cool lenticular cover there. Yeah, good creepy sort of ghost story by Robert Zemeckis from 2000 with Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer. Get back in there. Okay, next we have White Zombie with Bela Lugosi, one of the first zombie films from 1932. It's the name that Rob Zombie, of course, got his band name from. Next, we have the original The Wicker Man from 1973 with Christopher Lee, Britt Eklund. I love the scene where she dances naked in this movie. The remake, of course, with Nicolas Cage is absolutely awful and won't be seeing my collection. Next, we have Wolf Creek, good Aussie horror from 2005. Did not love it at first, I gotta be honest. It was a little too brutal for me in parts, but yeah, I'm going to like it more. Next, we have The Wolfman from 1941, the original, of course, another one of these Legacy Collection DVDs, if you've seen my other videos. Also includes Werewolf of London, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, and She-Wolf of London, all of which I watched last year as well. And I think She-Wolf of London is actually really good. Next, we have the remake, The Wolfman, with Benicio del Toro, Anthony Hopkins, and Emily Blunt, Hugo Weaving. It wasn't great, but it was pretty cool, from 2010 on Blu-ray. Next, we have Wrong Turn. Again, really good horror film from 2003 with Eliza Dushku. I had no idea there were already 5 sequels of this until just recently. I haven't seen any of the sequels, no desire to be honest, but I really like the first one. Next we have Young Frankenstein, classic Mel Brooks film, of course, from 1974. Just one of the funniest movies of all time, and just great. And last but not least, we have Zombieland. Absolutely love this film. From 2008 with Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, Emma Stone, and Abigail Breslin. I actually like it more than Shaun of the Dead, to be honest, and I know that's sort of blasphemy for many people. So that is my horror collection. Obviously, thank you for watching, everybody, and up next will be James Bond. Oh yes. So until next time, I'll see ya.